what I kind of want you to take away from this is there's a very big difference between a challenge and being able to create opportunities in your business for your team to challenge themselves and to think autonomously versus downright swamping somebody physically and emotionally with your next great idea. And so as you listen to this podcast and you are thinking that you need to implement, like last week we talked about AI, you need to implement AI in your business, but you don't want to do that. So you give that to one of your team members. Stop. Grab a bit of paper, grab a journal, open up the notes in your phone and write down those great ideas.
Hey there, and welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. If you're looking to get more sales, more customers, master your marketing, and ultimately take control of your retail or e-commerce business, then you're in the right place. I'm Selena Knight, a retail growth strategist and multi-award-winning store owner whose superpower is uncovering exactly what your business requires to move to the next level. I'll provide you with the strategies, the tools, and the insight you need to scale your store. All you need to do is take action. Ready to get started?
Hey there, and welcome to today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. Now, if you've been listening for a while, you know that I am a subscriber, a participant. I joined this thing that I like to refer to as CEO Club. It's called the Club of United Business, but essentially the people who are in this club are CEOs of their business. And honestly, it's kind of been life-changing being able to hang around with people who from all walks of life. I think out of the over 1,000 people who are members, there's probably only a handful of people who are in retail and e-commerce. And one of the great things I love is that they have these sessions that are curated for different types of businesses. So there is the young under 35s, and then there is the professional services, but then there's always the women in business. And every 2 months, they have a women in business round table. And the last one that I went to, it was a really interesting conversation around boundaries. And when you are the boss, we're going to say that in air quotes, when you are the boss or the CEO or the founder or in charge of the business, how you can be friendly versus being friends with your employees. And it was a great conversation, and I'd kind of forgotten about it until I got on a conversation with one of our beautiful members inside of our program. And she's in New Zealand, and we were having this conversation about her business. And she was saying to me, "Oh, I listen to your podcast all the time. And I walk into every time I walk into the store, and I'm like, oh, I listen to this podcast on the way here." And honestly, alarm bells literally went off. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. We have to stop the conversation here because I have been where you are right now, and it is not a great place to be. The thing is, your great ideas are literally going to be the downfall of your business. You're going to lose your employees. You'll probably lose revenue, all because you think that you're doing the right thing. Let me explain. So if you've been around for a long time, you may have heard this story, but stick with me. There was a time in my business when I used to do the exact same thing that this person had just told me that they did. I had a 20-minute drive to work. I would pop on a podcast and I would arrive at the store inspired. I was like, this is the thing that is going to change the business. And I would walk in and I'd be like, oh, on the way here, I was listening to a podcast and that happened pretty much every single day, just like this beautiful retailer was telling me. And it is flattering. Like it is like, oh my gosh, you cannot understand how heartwarming it is to hear that someone listens to your podcast and wants to implement what you tell them, because sometimes standing behind the microphone here can feel like you are just shouting at a void. So thank you so much for listening. Like, I totally appreciate it. Please make sure to leave me a review. But what I want to bring to the point here is these great ideas can be a complete undoing of your business. And let me explain. So in my scenario, I had this same conversation where I walked in so excited, opened the door, walked in. Good morning. How's the day going? Blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. I was listening to a podcast on the way in, and it was talking all about insert thing here, email marketing. We have to do blah, 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 blah. And it got to the point where one day my beautiful, beautiful Neely, who used to work for me, broke down into tears. And you can imagine my surprise, because like we have a great business and we have great people. And I'm like, great idea. Like, we're going to do this thing and it's going to be like the thing that changes our business. Why are you crying? And she turned to me and she was like, Sal, I just can't. Like, I am sure that it is the next best thing, but I still have all the other next best things that you gave me yesterday and the day before and the day before and the day before. And I just don't have the time or the bandwidth to implement them. Like, which one do you want me to do? And at that moment, I realized that I was like a completely crappy boss, because a boss, well, I wasn't a completely crappy boss. I was a completely crappy leader. Now, sure, I might have been a great boss. And I'm pretty sure if you ask anybody who's worked with me, they have loved working here. But a great boss is not a great leader. Your team don't need a friend. What they need is someone who can show them where they're headed, how they're going to get there, and what is going to be considered success. And when you have all of these ideas, then what do they work towards? Because when you have great employees, they will do everything to keep you happy. Like, great employees will go above and beyond. They will stay back late. They will come in early. They will do more than you ever asked them to do. But to a point. And there is a point where everyone gets stretched thin. And so there was that point for me where when I made my team cry, like when I made someone who I deeply cared about cry, that was the moment for me where I realized that I was a great boss. My team loved working with me. My team loved the store. They loved our customers. They would do everything to make the business a success. There was great culture. We had amazing customers, and they would always go above and beyond. But it was at that point I realized that I had failed them, because it was my job to make sure that I had the plan that we were working towards, that I had the KPIs. I was like, this is the point where we need to get to. This is what is going to be successful. This is the target. This is where we are going to be in order to hit our customer experience that we want to do, in order to hit the sales targets that we want, in order to make the world a better place. We had lots of KPIs. But if you are making your team cry because you are filling their heads with more than they could ever conceivably do, then that is the point where you realize that you have to be more than a boss. That's kind of the breakdown to get to the breakthrough. And what I realized then was that I had to have the plan. And if I didn't have a plan, then what the heck were my team going to work towards? How would they know that they had achieved something? Sure, we had sales targets in place, but business and life is more than just sales targets, right? There are these intrinsic values where we want to feel like we have succeeded. We want to feel valued. We want to feel like we've had the opportunity to use our brains. And even though I thought I was doing that for my team, the reality was I was kind of just bombarding them with stuff, and it was kind of great at the beginning, but it got to the point where it was all just too much. And so I realized at that moment, I kind of feel like that was the moment where the 5 core pillars of retail success were like birthed, but they weren't called that then. Like they were in their complete infancy. They weren't even a fetus. They were just like completely being maybe thought about. And so that was the point where I remember walking into my office / the stock room, and I grabbed these massive sheets of brown paper, and they were probably like 4 feet long, so like just over a meter long. And I remember sticking them all up on the walls, and I drew out like the month. It's so lo-fi. I literally drew out the month calendar. So I had, the 7 lines, and then 4 lines, seven lines vertical, 4 lines horizontal, drew out the dates, grabbed all the sticky notes we had, and started writing, and just started sticky noting everything everywhere. And I remember looking at it going, whoa, like that, we do not have the capacity to do what is on that board. And I think that for me was that visualization, was that big realization where things had to change. We could not be doing all of these things. Like just looking at it was making me feel anxious. And one of the other things that I did was grabbed off a new piece of paper, which I stuck on the back of the storeroom door. So whilst these pieces of paper were kind of like front and center, this piece of paper was on the back of the door. And it was just a simple piece of brown paper. And I just got a big, thick Sharpie, and I wrote on it, Sal's Great Ideas. And even to this day, I still have a digital version of that. I have my own private Asana board inside of our project management system called Sal's Great Ideas. And I have a rule. Whenever I have a great idea, it has to go onto that board for at least 48 hours before I can action it. And all of that came about from that simple piece of brown paper. So when I would come in the morning, I would grab that Sharpie and I would write my great idea on the back of the board. And I would just fill that thing with my great idea. And I made this deal with myself that I would not implement anything on that board for at least 2 days. Because that gave me the space, that gave me the breathing space, it gave me the clarity that I needed to be able to assess whether the great idea was just a great idea in the moment, or it really was a great idea that we could go ahead and implement. And that's kind of filtered down into what we now use as our 90-day plan. But that great ideas board is still something 15 years later that I use inside of my business. Because what I worked out was that we are filled with ideas as entrepreneurs, business owners, whatever you want to call yourself, founders, CEOs. We have no shortage of good ideas. Like I could fill 27 notebooks today of amazing ideas. I have projects in the back of my mind that I really, really want to patent, like inventions that I want to patent. But I know that right now is not the time. What I have learned from Sal's Great Ideas piece of brown paper is when I have the time, when I have the money, and when I have the resources and the bandwidth to work on that project, then I can allocate a section of my life, a section of my day, a section of my week to work on that project and commit to it. And trust me, I have 2 amazing ideas that I desperately, desperately want to get into production. But the simple fact is, I don't have the amount of time that it would need or anywhere near the resources to be able to pull it off well. And if someone beats me to market with it, so be it. That is fine. If they have the time, the energy, the resources, and the bandwidth to do it, they deserve to win. I remember I had this great idea back at the beginning of the internet. I am not joking. We are talking like 2004. I had this great idea for a website called I even had a name. It was called Feed Me Cheap. And I was young, right? I was a lot younger than I am now. And like I lived in a slightly touristy area. I lived near Manly in Sydney. And every pub would have its $7 steak Tuesdays or $5 chicken schnitzel Wednesdays. And I kind of thought, oh my gosh, with all the travelers that come into the area, you could have a website where restaurants would advertise their specials. Now, I'll be honest, I was not in the business back then. I was still working in my government job. I had no idea. I remember my husband saying to me, so how do you make money out of this? And I remember saying, okay, well, if I just charged every restaurant $10 a week to advertise their specials, like I'd be minted. I would not be minted. These days I look back and go, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? $10 a week to be able to advertise your specials and have people like be driven into that was never going to fly. But the thing was, I didn't have the resources. I had no idea how to build a website back then. This was long before I ever delved into having my own business. I was still working for the government cutting down trees. I wouldn't even know where to find a web developer. Clearly, I had no idea about marketing. I had no idea about cost of goods. I had no idea about anything. And it was only a couple of years ago now. So fast forward, what is this, nearly 20 years? And it was only just a couple of years ago that someone came out with a very similar website. And, they clearly have all the ads plastered all over it and they're making an awful lot of money out of it. Well, I don't know. Maybe are they making an awful lot of money out of it? I don't know. All I can think of is it's a pretty lo-fi way to earn some passive income. Now, if I had really, really wanted to commit to that back in 2004, I could have been a market leader. I could have been the Uber of restaurant specials, pub specials all around the world. But it wasn't what I was committed to. I didn't have the energy and the resources. I didn't kind of really want it. I just thought it was a great idea. And so I look back now and I think, thank goodness I didn't go ahead. Well, I don't know. Thank goodness. I don't know what the outcome would have been. I could have ended up spending $50,000 because I had no idea what I was doing, or I maybe could have spent $5,000 and been rolling it. Who knows? All I do know is that I did not have the capacity to put that in place. When you can put something like a simple Asana board, a piece of brown paper, a journal, however you want to do it in place to put your great ideas in, what it does is give you the ability to reflect, and it gives you the ability to reduce the chaos and confusion, because great ideas cause overwhelm, and great ideas for your team definitely cause chaos and confusion. And there is no way, as a good leader, you want to come into work every day and have your team feel overwhelmed and chaotic and confused. Nobody wants that. And so what I kind of want you to take away from this is there's a very big difference between a challenge and being able to create opportunities in your business for your team to challenge themselves and to think autonomously versus downright swamping somebody physically and emotionally with your next great idea. And so as you listen to this podcast and you are thinking that you need to implement, like last week we talked about AI, you need to implement AI in your business, but you don't want to do that. So you give that to one of your team members. Stop. Grab a bit of paper, grab a journal, open up the notes in your phone and write down those great ideas. Give yourself breathing space. Put a deadline on yourself. I will not act on this for 24 hours, 48 hours, a week. Depends on how impulsive you are. What I found was 48 hours was enough for me to be able to go back without that emotion and kind of look at something from a logistical point of view. Was it really a great idea? Was it in line with where we're headed? Was it in line with our 90-day plan? We didn't have 90-day plans then, but that was the beginning of the whole concept of the 90-day plan, because when I went into the storeroom, I put 3 of those pieces of paper up and I figured 3 months, that is enough for us to start something and get something finished. It is time for us to be able to put something in place and see results. So even though at the time I had no idea that it was going to be something more, kind of like Feed Me Cheap, that never got off the ground, this thing got off the ground. This thing became the hub of everything that we teach to help retail and e-commerce store owners to grow their businesses. Because when you can map it out, when you can have the calendar there, when you can literally put people and resources in sticky notes or in pencil or whatever looks like the perfect way for you, whether it's digital or physical. Personally, I still like physical. As I pan over, and let me show you, I don't know if I can get my camera to do this. If you are watching the video, let me see if I can pan over to show you my whiteboard, which is literally, and a mess of my desk, covered in sticky notes. So I am not joking when I say that this is still something to this day that I implement in my business. I map it out, I grab the sticky notes, and I start moving things around, because this is the way that I can help my team. And let's be honest, there's always going to be fires that need to be fought. There are always going to be things that come up. We have team meetings every single day, and there is always something that comes up that needs to be addressed. But if we have the plan, if we know what we are working towards, then everybody can focus. Everybody knows, what is the goal? This is what we need to do to get there. And these are the steps that we are going to take. And that, my friends, is the way that you stop great ideas from being the downfall of your business. Because I don't want your amazing store manager to leave because you overwhelm them. I don't want your great admin person to leave because you put too many things on the to-do list that actually weren't important. I don't want your amazing ops manager or e-commerce manager or email marketer to leave because you don't know where the heck you want to go in your business. Clarity equals confidence equals control. We have kind of this handful of sayings, mantras, whatever you want to call them in our business. And that is one of them. Because if you are clear on where you are going, it is really easy to be confident about the decisions that you're making. So if you are struggling to make decisions, if you have analysis paralysis, I can almost guarantee it's because you don't actually know what you want from your business and where your business is going. Because when you know those two things, making decisions is so much easier. Clarity equals confidence. And when you are confident in the decision that you are making, you become in control of your business rather than your business controlling you. And I don't want your business to be controlling you. I want you to be in control. I want you to feel great when you turn up every single day and you are making decisions with clarity. You are making decisions on what's best for the business rather than who you have available or how much money is in the bank account or what needs to be done now because you didn't get it done yesterday. That is not a great position to be in. And if you need help with that, if you want help with that, and you are in Australia, hey, if you are anywhere in the world, although I have noticed that, especially you guys in the US, you do not like flying to conferences. I fly to America all the time for conferences. But in America, the idea of coming to Australia for a conference seems very, very far from your idea of reality. So if you are needing help with that, if you want some help from me and my team to walk you through all of this, to get the clarity in what you want from your business, to get that confidence to make decisions, and most importantly, to build out that 90-day plan, head along to the Retail Academy Live. 4th and 5th of September. Yes, I got those days right this time. 4th and 5th of September, Monday and Tuesday. And we are going to be working through all of this stuff. Sure, you are going to hear from some amazing speakers, but what you are going to take away from this event in your hot little hands is that action plan, because this is not an ordinary conference. This is what I like to call, a workshop, a masterclass. I like to call them action days, because in between every single session, you will be doing exactly what we've been talking about. You will be working on your business. Because if you have to take 2 days out of your business, I have to guarantee that you're going to get productivity, right? I guarantee you're going to get the productivity. The team and I will help you. We will walk you step by step, hand in hand, to build out that plan. And if you haven't already got your tickets to that event, make sure you head over to selenaknight.com/live. You can grab your tickets to that event. Hopefully there are still some available if you are listening. We are holding it the 4th and 5th of September in Melbourne, Monday and Tuesday. So, hey, come along for the weekend before. Give yourself the opportunity to shop up, because, oh my gosh, the stores in Melbourne are amazing. Go and have high tea. Play golf. We are having our event at the golf course. So go and play around a golf if that's your thing. But if none of those things appeal to you, just hang out in your hotel room and chill. Make sure you head over to selenaknight.com/live, grab your tickets before they're gone, and let's help you to build out that action plan for your business. And if you can't make it to the event, I would love you to, on this episode, on social media, let me know what part of this is the part that made you think. What is the part that you are going to act on? Are you going to put your great ideas board in place? Even better, drop me a pic. I would love to see how you streamline your life, remove that chaos, remove that overwhelm from you and your team. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for checking in this week. I hope to see you live in person in Melbourne, Victoria on the 4th and 5th of September. Other than that, I will see you back here in your ears next week. Alrighty, bye.
So that's a wrap. I'd love to hear what insight you've gotten from this episode and how you're going to put it into action. If you're a social kind of person, follow me at @TheSelenaKnight and make sure to leave a comment and let me know. And if this episode made you think a little bit differently, or gave you some inspiration, or perhaps gave you the kick that you needed to take action, then please take a couple of minutes to leave me a review on your platform of choice. Because the more reviews the show gets, the more independent retail and e-commerce stores just like yours that we can help to scale. And when that happens, it's a win for you, a win for your community, and a win for your customers. I'll see you on the next episode.